You want to big intro, eh? Oh, okay, we're going to do that. Hello! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Fuller.
You know what you're in for tonight? Abbott and Costello. I'm Abbott.
And he's a terrible Abbott. And Abbott we're trying to break.
Laurel and Hardy. Guess who?
We might do it. Hello.
Hello.
I guess. Okay.
I've hung around him so much I've got an English accent. Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Hey gang, how you all doing? Hey, thanks for being here today and supporting us. We've had such a great time with you all, really. Thank you so much.
This is a highly rehearsed thing. I've got some notes. Oh, it's not that. No, it might be. Thank you all for coming to the Robert Fuller Fandom private Q&A. Before we get started, I'd just like to say a couple of things, and which I think are quite important. You know, when we do these things, a lot of fandom members volunteer to help. And without their help, it just wouldn't be possible to get this done. So I'd just like to... Is that me banging? Or is it you? You're banging your microphone. I thought you were a professional.
That's my heart.
I'd just like to really say a big, big thank you to those people who have done a wonderful, wonderful job.
Boy, me too, you guys. All of you have been helped out so much today. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the help. Believe me. I don't know how you do it, but you did it, and I appreciate it.
And you know, they've never let us down at every festival, and they haven't let us down this one. Everyone's worked really hard, so I'd like you all to just stand up, show yourselves, everybody that did some work. Come on volunteers, stand up. Please.
You all did double duty. You guys went beyond the pale for it. I appreciate it.
And we're going to give them, we're actually going to give them a 20% pay rise.
Comes out of your check.
Yeah. There's a couple of things going to happen in this Q&A. You know, we started to introduce the Dumb Bob story. Yeah. You are going to hear the dumbest Dumb Bob story you have ever heard in your life a little bit later on. Also, we're going to welcome up, well, we're not really going to welcome him up, but he'll come up. Keith Mills will come up, and I'm going to give him my microphone. And
who's going to come up?
Keith Miles.
Keith Mills?
Miles.
Oh, Smiley Miles.
Smiley Miles. Yeah, you know, that guy we met.
You got to be kidding me. You're not bringing him up here.
Well, you know what? I wasn't going to, but he
knows me too well. Anyway, go on.
So Keith will be coming a little bit later on. He knows lots of dirt on Robert, so he'll tell you all about that. Also, I'd like to just wish Jennifer happy birthday tomorrow. Jennifer, where are you? There you are. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, William.
And Cheryl, happy birthday for today. And to absolutely... Cheryl actually won a DVD, so it's really embarrassing. Make your way down here, we'll give you a DVD. And then further to that, you thought that you'd finished signing photos, didn't you?
I did what?
You thought you'd finished signing photos.
Yeah.
You haven't.
Okay.
It's Bruce Bump. Never got his photos signed, so where's Bruce? Fetch your photos and we'll get them signed now for you.
Thank you.
There you go. Brought your pen.
You are just so kind. I want to tell you that, Bruce, is this for you?
This is for him. Oh, oops. We had a couple here. Oh, that was.
This is for James.
That's James and mine too.
To my pal James?
We're looking together.
You didn't get one over at the table over there doing all
Long
that?
story. Hey, well, let's get to be. Sorry.
You were there all day.
I know. Tony, I did not slip that in there.
No, don't look at me. If you'd done your job properly, you wouldn't be doing this.
If I'd have done my job right.
I didn't say that, it just came out as the booze.
Next time you see that picture of all of them.
Now what? Oh, these are all for James?
No.
Oh, okay, so you.
Bruce.
Bruce. Look at that girl with the horse.
Yeah.
I don't know who's got like cowboy is.
We're going to play with that picture. Next time you see it, it's going to look different.
Really?
Let's show that in Memphis. Or, Tunica.
This is that squirt.
Got the other half.
What a fun kid.
Got one request. Paul could use a Tunica.
You ain't got time for requests, get out of
No,
here.
wait a minute. You got a question?
Request Tunica before of us play a game of poker.
Oh, okay.
You're going to lose.
Count me in.
Okay.
Right.
Right, before we get started, you want to sit down now, we finished it. Oh, you want it signing?
I
Cheryl.
signed it.
Did you get?
You've already signed it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm in trouble now.
Watch that microphone.
Hey, what about
Cheryl, Bruce wants a kiss.
I saved them for him.
Now, before we actually get started, Larry's got a couple of things he just wants to do. There's going to be an auction for the festival, so some kind of deal, I don't know. So, Larry, do you want to come forward?
I'd like to thank all y'all for making our first Williamsburg Nostalgia Fest a success. And a lot of it is because of you. We hope to do it again, and I'll make a decision in the next month to 6 weeks and be getting maybe get some information out. Thank you.
How are we done? Okay, now we're going to get on with the business.
Let's get to where it's all about, you guys.
The
You know, as usual, when we have our private fandom thing like this, we always say, it's a Q&A. But it winds up that nobody asks questions. So I hope tonight, we've got all the time in the world. Let's hear some questions from everybody, just for fun. Come on. I don't care what you want to ask. Tony will run it.
Okay,
But
go for it.
I'll do my best to answer these things.
Thank you so much. I've always wanted to ask you. I saw you talk about this before, and it has to do with wardrobe back. And of course, I watch Laramie all the time.
Speak up a little bit.
I watch Laramie all the time, and it has to do with wardrobe. And I heard you talk about the first episode, and then second episode, and then you created your own wardrobe. So So I wanted to know if most of it was custom made, especially the blue cavalry shirt and the shearling jackets and all that.
Absolutely not. If you watch Bonanza, you'll see custom-made clothes. You'll never see custom-made clothes on Laramie. Believe me. We those old shirts and these Levi's and boots. I just bought this stuff. That's the way I wore it. It's what I wore every day of my life anyway. And I brought it to the set. It was my gun belt, my gun, my hat, my spurs, my this. And no, nobody dressed me on that show. So.
Thank you.
Laura, just lady right there.
Bob, my savior. I'm Kim McDonald. My question is, one time you said that you got to a point in your career, you had been doing the dancing early in your career, and you said to Chuck Courtney, gee, you know, I got to cut this out and I got to get a real job. And he steered you into stunt work and acting and all that. What if there had never been a Chuck Courtney and you had gone out and gotten a real job? What do you think you would have done if you hadn't become an actor?
Wow, what a fabulous question. Really, that's delightful. And I can answer that, I really can. I never got past the 9th grade. I went through it twice and didn't make it. But I wound up being a very fortunate actor. I've made films in 17 countries. I did get an education as But when I said to Chuck, when I got out of the Army in 1955, I'd only been working as an extra or a chorus dancer. And I said, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's when Chuck said, no, you're going to study with Dick Boone. You know the story. He was way before Paladin. My idea was, when I got out of the Army, I wanted to be I wanted to work with animals. I wanted I love Florida. I thought I wanted to be a game ranger, and do that kind of. That would have been something I would have gone into. I don't even know if I could have without a high school education. I guess you have to have a diploma to go into stuff like that. But that's what I would have wanted to do if I didn't get lucky to become Robert Fuller, the actor. Nice question. But that's what I would have done. I would have been a fishing game.
You told me to think up a good question.
Right back there.
And by the way, I am an honorary fish and game warden. I've done so much work for them throughout the years because of Laramie and Wagon Train and Robert Fuller. Well, yeah, I support those guys like I do the Wounded Warriors. Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
There you go.
Hypothetically, would you have played Jess Hopper for 20 years?
Come up closer and let me hear what you're saying.
Would you have played Jess Hopper for 20 years like James Arness played Matt Dillon, if the opportunity had presented itself?
Would you have played Jess Harper for 20 years like James Arness played Matt Dillon, had the opportunity presented?
Oh, you mean if Laramie had gone on?
Continued for 20 years.
Oh, heck yes. Are you kidding? I would have played Jess Harper forever.
That's what I would.
If I'd had the same writers, directors, and everybody on that show, I'd have done it for 10 years or whatever. Nice question. Yeah, absolutely, though. I really would have, yeah. I would have missed doing Emergency if I'd have done that, and that wouldn't have been too good because I really enjoyed being able to do Emergency, which did a lot for the paramedics and for the doctors all over the country in those days. So I'm very proud to have been a part of that too. But like I said, I'm just a lucky guy. All those 3 shows came in the right situation for me.
Next, please, the other lady there.
When you were doing the first 2 seasons of Wagon Train, you guest starred in season 2, the Ella Lindstrom story. you kissed a young girl under the wagon, and you hopped up and hit your head. Was that ad-libbed or was that in the script?
I did that.
You did that?
I'll tell you what, I was a very young actor in those days and just starting out, but it just felt, it might work. The director liked it very much, so it worked. Yeah.
Live hard.
Oh yeah, I threw all my life to work on that show. Yeah.
Bruce, you got a question? Hurry up.
Yeah, I had a question, the Gunsmoke question made me wonder, so that, as I look through the shows you've done, the appearances you've made, I know a lot of the other actors in Hollywood at the time were jumping around, they'd appear on this one or that one. How did you manage not to appear in Gunsmoke when they did 635 episodes? Did you turn them down, or did you just never jump on that?
No, of course I was never asked to do a Gunsmoke, but you have to understand I was doing Laramie and Wagon Train at the same time that was going on, so I never had the opportunity.
I thought it went well beyond that, that's why I was...
Say what?
Didn't it go well beyond the Wagon Train?
Oh yeah, it did, but then I went to Emergency. My God, I was doing movies, I was going overseas, doing all the movies I did, and no, I wasn't in that loop of those 20 years while that was working. God, I guess I would have done one. I don't know. You know, I did a lot of episodic westerns, but once I started Laramie and Wagon Train and Emergency in the movies, I was stuck for 20 years in a row.
Is there any? Was there any western that was made that you would have liked to appear in that you didn't ever get to appear in?
There's only one western that's ever been done. It's called Laramie.
So, anyway, is there any...
Hey, look at something, you know. I know you guys love westerns. You've watched them all. If you watch Wanted Dead or Alive, it's shot on a soundstage. You can hear people walking on the soundstage when they walk up and down. It's never done outside. We did a western that was shot for real, and we went on location. We shot it all over the country, all over the United States. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying. No, I wouldn't have. Yeah, well, of course, I worked at a bunch of them early on. That's how I started my career.
Is there any that springs to mind that you think, I would quite like to have done that, but I never really got the chance to do it?
No.
Okay. Who's next?
I never wanted to work at Warner Brothers, but I did two things with Peter.
Peter and Lawman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were good. They were pretty good shows. Okay, who's got the mic? Hello.
Two of my favorite actors are Gary Cooper and Gregory Peck. What was it like working with them?
My God, working with Gregory Peck. I was an extra in that motion picture. You talking about the what's the name of the movie? Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
I was an extra. Mike, give me a break. This was a shot of my lifetime. I happened to be just an extra there, and Gregory Peck is going through his bad scene that he's having, and there's a couple of us soldiers. I was making $12.05 a day for that day's work, but they picked me out to be that one soldier that looks at him, and I got a real close-up in that movie. I got $50 for that day. That's how I worked for Gregory Peck, who I adore, who I think is one of the finest actors in the world. I never shook his hand. I never said hello to Gregory Peck. I wished I could have, but that's interesting, yeah. Really.
And what about Gary Cooper?
Well, I worked with Gary Cooper. My God, that was my first line in the picture business. I bet I can knock down more than you. You all know that story?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was an extra there. I worked for days and days on that picture. And I just happened to be in the right scene at that moment, that day, in the right uniform, while Cooper and the other actor. Who? No, yeah. Who? Come on, you guys.
Tony Perkins.
No, Tony Perkins was in the movie. I'm talking the other actor that was in the scene. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, Richmond, who was in Bonanza.
Mark Richmond, yeah, who I'd worked with later on Bonanza. I happened to be there just at the right time when Willie Wyler looked up at me and said, "Come here." And I'm an extra again. I was making $12.05 a day for that. And he said, "Do you act?" And I said, "Yeah, you bet." And he said, "Well, read this line." Actually, I heard what happened. I heard Gary Cooper come on the set, and happened to be, I was stationed with a whole bunch of extras there, by an assistant director. And from me to you almost, when Coop came in, and I heard Coop say, this scene is very stale. It's, we need something happening here. We need somebody to come in. And Willie Wyler sitting in his chair like this with a big cigar, and he looks over and he says to me, and I came over and he says to me, he says, "Can you act?" And I said, "You bet." He says, "Say this line." And I said, "What's the line?" And he said, "I can knock down more than you can." I said, "I can knock down more than you can." He said, "Give this kid the part." And that was it. My God, I made $250 that day. As an actor, saying my first line of movies with Gary Cooper and Mark Richmond in Friendly Persuasion.
Did you get to talk to Gary Cooper between takes?
Did what?
Did you get to talk to Gary Cooper between takes, or he didn't interact with you much?
Say again?
Did you get to talk to Gary Cooper?
Oh, I talked to Cooper every day. I worked on that picture for 2 months. Wow. I played every part in that thing you can imagine. I was a soldier, I was a this, I was that as an extra. I'd see Coop in the daytime, go by and say, "Mr. Cooper, how you doing?" And no, Coop was great to all of us on the show. But of course, it's not like me and Tony,
Yeah, it was polite.
But Gary Cooper, give me a break. One of the biggest stars in the world, you're working with. But in the morning, Coop didn't know my name. He had no idea who Robert Fuller was. But yet he would say hi in the morning, and I'd say, "Mr. Cooper, how you doing?" And he'd say hi to us. Yeah, great question.
That's it. We've got nobody. Hey, are you on mute over here? Well, we've got somebody. There's a lady over there. Up you get. Yeah, now mute. And then we're going to do the dumb Bob story.
Oh, sorry.
So we heard a story that a particular actor almost got you kicked off the set by the name of Mr. Gary Clark. I was wondering if you know anything about that.
Say it again, what's it?
Mr. Clark, we met him back at Ardmore last year, said that he was riding a motorcycle through the lot and he was pursued by security, and he had asked who he was, and he had mentioned, he said, "I'm Robert Fuller," which wasn't true at the time. And they said that you found out years later because apparently security stopped you at the gate and almost prevented you from coming back to work.
It's news to me.
I guess Mr. Clark's in trouble now, isn't he?
You have to wait and ask him.
Thank you.
I have no idea about that.
Had you not heard? I'd heard that story before. I heard that many years ago, that Gary Clark was riding a bike and security got him and they said, "What's your name?" And he said, "It's Robert Fuller." And yeah, I'd heard that story. So
I didn't even know that Gary Clark rode a motorcycle.
Apparently not very well. Sorry, cut that.
Well, I rode a motorcycle and I rode it on the lot to go to work. But no, I think I was the only one that ever rode a motorcycle on the Universal lot. But I could do anything on that lot. I owned that lot.
Well, now, are you ready?
Uh-oh.
Now, I'm going to tell you that when I first heard this story, I was in the back of the vehicle, and Jennifer was driving, and Bob was telling the story, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. How anybody could be so dumb. This was 2 or 3 years ago, and he's never told this story.
So it's the
yep,
Coast Guard cutter one?
Oh yes.
Okay. I don't know if you all have been to enough of these that he has now started Dumb Bob.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess you've heard 3 or 4 Dumb Bobs. There'll be 20 more. But this one came up tonight. He said, "You're going to do a Dumb Bob." And I said, "There's so many. Which one do you want?" And so we picked this. Anyway, I'm doing Laramie. This is, 1960, 1961. My buddy Chuck Courtney and I, and a great stuntman named Joe Canut, the son of Yakima Canut. We all know who we're talking about now?
Yes. Yeah.
Joe and I, we had a boat called the 8 Bells. It's about a 35-foot old beat-up thing. I mean, we flew a pirate flag, had guns with us. We would go down to Mexico, and we'd rob lobster traps. We had gunfights down there with these people. I mean, this is what we did in those days. We're still alive. So anyway, now we go up. One day we go up to Northern California, and we're going to go to the Falkland Islands, and we're going to go here, and we wind up someplace in a bar at a great place where we can dock our boat. And that night we drink a little bit, and just a little bit. And now we go back to our boats about 1 o'clock in the morning. The boat's moored down at the end of a dock. And now we're going to go to Catalina in the morning. And we're pretty drunk. And all of a sudden, as we're walking along, here's a Coast Guard cutter boat. About 150 feet, 200 feet, big Coast Guard cutter boat sitting there. And Joe Canut says to me, "This is the kind of boat we need." This is 1 o'clock in the morning. And it's got rat lines going up to it, it's moored. I mean, lines are like this. And so I said, "Well, let's go see if we can get it started." And Chuck says, "I'll see you later." And Chuck's head goes down to the edge of the dock where our boat is, and he goes in. So Joe Canut and I
Don't look at me.
This is so dumb. We get on the rat lines, hanging upside down, and we climb up to get on deck of this Coast Guard cutter. Now we're on board of this thing. It's ours, it's our ship. So we go up to the wheelhouse. We're going to start this damn thing, and we're going to take a Coast Guard cutter off. Is that not dumb? I have, it's such a crazy story. I can't believe that we did this. Anyway, we're up there, and we're in a wheelhouse, and we're trying to start this 150-foot ship. And all of a sudden, people come alive. There's people living on that thing down the road. And the lights are going on, and people saying, "What's going on? What's this?" And we're at the back of the thing, and Joe and I go, "Oh shit, we got to get out of here." So we go back, and we jump overboard. Well, no, he jumps overboard and hits his back on a railing, and I hear him screaming down there, and I got a rat line that goes from me to you back there. And I thought, I'm not going to jump in the water, I'm going to run that rat line all the way back to the dock. Well, and I've got rubber boots on up to here, we're just old sailors. I get about halfway and I can't even hold on anymore, and I drop into the water. I swim over to the dock, get there, I see him, he's all hurt. We find a railing. By the time we get up there, here's the police, the shore patrol, the police in this town, and they're there, and we're both drowned rats, and we get up on the thing, and and I said, my friend fell in the water, and I just jumped in to save him. They weren't buying it. So we've got shore patrol. You know what a shore patrol? These are sailors with batons and cops, and they know our boat's down there, and they say, get back in that boat right now, and they take us back to the boat, put us in, and they say, we want you out of town by dawn. We got a 32-foot pirate boat. So we go in and we finally pass out. Chuck was smart. He's gone, he's asleep. So Joe and I go to sleep. We wake up in the morning and that whole dock is set with police and shore patrol looking at us and say, get out. What year was that? When was that? 62, 63. Oh yeah, I'm doing learning. Oh yeah, it was during a break, 30 days I had off that we could go kill people. Rob trapped, do things like dumb Bob would do. But anyway, we did it. And I mean, to wake up in the morning, we woke up and we looked up and all over the dock were all these people wanting us to get out of town real quick. And boy, we turned that engine on, we headed for Catalina. And by the way, when we got to Catalina, we went in the back way, and we didn't stop at Avalon. I don't know if it is, but Catalina's an island like this, and you've got Avalon, and you got the back part of it. We pulled into the back, dropped anchor, went into the bar that they had there, and we're sitting there, the three of us, and down from the row from us, we hear guys saying, watch out, the 8 bells is in town, we could get in trouble. And the three of us looked at each other and said, this isn't the 8 bells. But anyway, that's what we did in that case.
Well, if you're going to be dumb, you might as well be really dumb.
Yeah, if you're going to be dumb, you might as well really be dumb.
There is one more that I want you to hear, but you're not going to hear it today. But if I can persuade him next time, there's an amazing dumb Bob story, and we actually play it out today. Anyway, look at that. Right, we'll go back to questions now. Any more questions? Let me see. I want to see somebody over this side. Where's Laura? Laura, I'm going to lady there.
I would like a follow-up on that story. Were you ever allowed to go back to that town?
What, in Catalina?
No, the one where you tried to take the boat.
No, we never went back there. No, they didn't want us back there.
I was going to say, when
I left off one thing. I made Chuck look like a good guy. He was not the good guy. When we walked in this bar in this town in Northern California on the beach, for some reason Chuck was not too happy that night about something, and the bartender brought up a whole bunch of chips on the thing, and Chuck went boom and threw these chips all over the air. And Joe came out and I said, the fight is on. And we could have fought in those days pretty good. I wish we did, but we lucked out. But Chuck started the whole damn thing. But when we went to steal the ship, he went off and went to bed. Yeah. No, we never went back there. We were never allowed to go back to Port Hueneme. That's where it was, Port Hueneme. No, if we'd have gone to jail if we went back there again.
The lady there, Laura. Thank you.
You said we could ask you anything.
Within reason.
I want to know how you managed to do anything in those GD-tight pants.
You want me to translate that? I would like, for the sake of the camera, to know this is not my question. She wants to know how you managed to do anything in those tight pants.
Well, getting in them was tough. Getting out of them was tougher. Why do you ask a question like that?
Anything?
Tight pants?
Yeah, sometimes you can walk across the street. I watch very closely.
Just old cowboy pants, I don't know.
I will go next door with Lady there.
I was wondering if you might share a behind-the-scenes story or memory of a time you spent with my other favorite actor, or let me rephrase that. My second favorite actor, Richard Boone.
Richard Boone? Oh, yeah.
A behind-the-scenes story or memory.
You're talking about Dick Boone, the Paladin.
Yes.
Oh, God, I got great stuff. Of course, he was my acting coach. You know that, don't you, or not?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I never did a have go will travel or anything, but Dick was my acting coach. When I got out of the Army, when I came back from Korea in 1955, as we talked before, I was decided I didn't want to, be an extra or whatever. And it was Chuck Courtney. He said, no, we're going to acting class with a guy named Richard Boone. He had not done Paladin at all. This is 2-3 years before then. He said, this is a great acting coach. You got to go into this class. So I said, all right, I'll go. I had no aspirations about being an actor. Believe me, that was not the furthest thing from my mind was to become an actor. I just happened to be in extra business to make some money. 15 bucks a day, 12 bucks a day, as opposed to 35 cents an hour. But so Chuck says, no, you're not. You're going to go. You're going to. We've got a new guy in town that's teaching acting. His name is Richard Boone. He said, you've got to come to this class. So I went the very first night. I'd been out of the Army 4 or 5 days. Came home from Korea. And I sat in the back of the class, and I guess Chuck had talked to Dick about it. And I remember Dick saying, well, I guess our Army guy is back. Come on up here. So I walked up and he said, I want you to do an improvisation. I didn't know what an improvisation was. I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm going to give you and a girl right here. I'll pick Alice, come over here. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you're going to go in the back room. You're going to talk about it. You're going to come back out here, and you're going to do a little scene. Sure, why not? I can do that. And I did it. She did it. We came out and got critiqued a little bit from the class or from Dick. And that evening, everybody showed up. Dick was one hell of a guy. He was tough. He was a drinker. He was a smoker. He was a tough guy. He was a boxer in the Navy. And he was one mean son of a gun. And I loved it. Yeah. So he said, we always wound up at a bar afterwards having a drink with the whole class. There was only 12 or 14 of us at that time. So he comes up to me, he says, you did pretty good in that scene. And I said, yeah. What do you mean? He said, I think you should study with me. I think you got a chance of being an actor. And I said, how do you know that? Honest to God, I don't know what the hell he was talking about. An actor? Become an actor? And he said, I saw something. I want you to study with me. So I said, oh man, here goes the game warden. Here goes. Whatever, okay, I'll go back to working extra. And Dick was only charging us 30 bucks a week $30 a month, 4 nights, 4 times a week. So I could afford that, and I went to study with Dick Boone, and Dick is and Chuck, Dick and my dad are very responsible for why I'm sitting here today. So that's Dick Boone, yeah, absolutely. I love that man.
Oh, you're handy. Right in the front of yeah, Lord.
Bob, how was it different, or was it different, when you went from Laramie to Wagon Train? I mean, what was different about doing Wagon Train? Did they let you do your own stunts? Did they let you wear your own clothes? You knew the guys there, but how was it different?
Well, I made the difference.
Well,
we're talking about going from Laramie. I went from Laramie to Wagon Train in 1 week. Laramie was canceled. Wagon Train was going into its 7th or 8th season, 90 minutes in color, and I wasn't under contract to the studio, but they weren't going to let me go, and they said, we want you to immediately come in as a scout on Wagon Train. Nice salary, it was, you know, and I loved those guys anyway. John McIntyre, of course, was a dear friend of mine who was, you know, the star of it, and Frankie and everybody. And I went for it in New York second. But I thought to myself, wow, I'm leaving a series where I'm playing Jess Harper for 124 episodes. Black gun belt, black hat, this, that. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to be another character called Cooper Smith in another TV series a week later. So you have to think. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I did not want to bring Jess to Wagon Train. So I changed everything. I changed the color of the gun belt, the hat, the this, the that, whatever. And the writing helped. So it worked kind of interesting. It really did. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Did you do your own stunts? Did you design your own stunts on that show too?
Yeah, I do. Dumb Bob?
Well, we know what happened with that.
If you guys watch anything you've ever seen me do in this business, I've done 99 and 9.10 of everything that you say. And you know why I did it? For you. No, I'm very serious. I'm not making fun. I would not. I'm Robert Ford. I'm an actor. I've done stunt work. I could do stuff like that. And when those things came up, I said, I'm not going to cheat these people. What? Somebody's going to fall off a horse and it's not going to be me? BS! It's going to be me. And boy, I had fights with those studios, but they finally gave in and let old dumb Bob do everything that he wanted to do. And I did it, and I did it well. I fought good. If you guys watch it, you seen my fight scenes? Yeah. I directed those fight scenes. I hired the other actors that I fought with, the other stuntmen. You bet. I knew how to do that, so I did it. Yeah.
Let's go towards the back a little bit. There's a lady in a striped dress there.
Okay, I know I'm going to flip this up.
Speak up.
All right, I know I'm going to flip this up. Okay.
Come up closer and talk into the mic. You're good.
Okay.
Very close.
All right. This is hypothetical. If Tony was not sitting in that chair, who would you want to be in that chair, living or deceased, that you would like to ask a question of? Oh, wow. I've always wanted to
If Tony, are you saying if Tony wasn't?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Who would you like
Who is there anybody, who would you pick to ask a question of, living or deceased?
Doesn't matter
what
when.
Are you're saying him.
We're gonna,
yeah, well, I'm dead.
Why did she say
I'm deceased. She wants to know of any person in the world, living or deceased. Hang on, I'm going to sit up here. I think I have to. She wants to know of any person in the world living
sitting in your chair.
No, yeah, it could be sitting here, it could be, but that's not the point. The point is, any person in history of the world, living or dead, that you could ask a question of, who would it be?
Winston Churchill. Without a doubt.
Oh, that's excellent. What would that question be?
Oh my God. I'd give anything in the world to be able to talk to that man.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
What would that question be?
Yeah.
What would the question be?
Sure.
Well, are you going to give me a cigar or not?
Winnie, let's have a drink together.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, next up. Wow.
Wow, whatever. Hey, that's a cool question. That's dynamite, honey. I love that. Thank you so much.
Always wanted to ask.
Well, that's interesting, but Winston Churchill was my hero. Really.
If you were going to produce Laramie today.
Where are you? Okay.
Go on, Janet, go on.
Close your mouth.
Speak.
If you were going to produce Laramie today, what would it look like? Wow.
Well, first of all, I didn't produce it.
No, I know. If you were going to.
I was just a hired hand.
Right. But if you were going to, would it have a different look?
I would certainly hope not. I don't know what you could change about that show. We had the best writers, the best directors, the best camera people. We had everything. No, I wouldn't mess with that for anything. Amen. And it couldn't, by the way, it couldn't be done today.
Yeah, we're getting along a little bit. I want to invite Keith up to the stage now. Keith has known Bob for 1,000 years, and he.
Who?
Keith. Kate. That guy there, the little fella at the front there.
Why are you going to do this to me?
I don't know, it's fun. Keith's going to come up and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the good times that they enjoyed. So, do you want to come up, partner?
Sure.
I'm going to give you my microphone. I'm going to get out of the way.
A star is born.
Can I mic you up?
Sure.
Try that.
Okay. I'm going to start. Good. 1960. You are 12 years old. I got to do a dumb Bob to start with. I'm on Laramie. I'm a kid from Florida. I can fish. I've never done any shooting. And my wrangler, Richie Brim, fat Richie, and John Stand-in. These guys are hunters. They've done it before. They said, "Hey, have you ever been, have you ever shot pheasant?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, there's a co-op up in Bakersfield. We could put our names in, and if we get it, you could go up to this co-op, and we could go up in the morning and we could shoot some pheasant." And I said, "Okay, count me in. What do I do?" And they said, "Well, you gotta have a shotgun." I said, "I don't have a shotgun." They said, "Well, you can rent one." So I go to a shop in town, and I rent a 12-gauge Etika, and I get a really, really nice hunting vest. They said, "You have to have a hunting vest, because when you kill a bird, you can put the bird in the vest like this." And we said, "Oh, cool, okay, so I'm ready." So we do it, and we get the draw. So one morning, we drive up to Bakersfield, in this area, this co-op. You know the co-op I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, Kiwanis.
So anyway, and what they have is they pull up a truck at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, it's dark, with about 500 pheasant in the truck. They open it up, and all these pheasants go boom, and they fly all over this 200 acres or whatever. And if you've been lucky enough to have the, you know, you've got the thing, so you can go out. But you have to stay 30 minutes, because a pheasant, in 30 minutes, will go back to the wild. It really will. So anyway, we go out, and I said to Richie, I said, what's a pheasant look like? And he said, what's a big red bird with a long tail? I said, okay. He said, if you see a big red bird with a long tail, you shoot that son of a gun. So now it's coming daylight, and the birds are gone, there's 60, 70 hunters, they're all spread out. So Richie and George and I are walking down, and I said, now, how am I going to find one? He says, you kick that hedgerow right there. Usually those birds will hide under there and they'll fly up. So he and George go this way, and I'm walking all by myself, and I'm kicking away at stuff. And I got my shotgun. And I got my new vest. And all of a sudden, a bird jumps up and takes off. And I go, boom. The bird goes down on the ground. Gets up, flies again. I hit him. I got him. He's gone. He's dead. I'm all alone out there. I go over and I get this big bird with a long tail and a red bird. And I got, first of all, I got to put a little blood on the vest, and I stick it back in my vest. And I got out. I'm the first guy to get pheasant. All of a sudden, here comes Richie and George over the hill. I said, you shot. What'd you get? You get something? And I said, dadgum right, man. I got one. Boom. I pull him out like this. And Richie says, if you just throw that bird in the bushes right now, we'll never ever tell that you shot it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, it's a woodpecker. Thing's got a tongue hanging out, and I shot a woodpecker. Went back on the set the next day, and from that day on I was called Woody. So a week later, Richie comes up to me and he says, I've got a friend that knows somebody up at a club in Bakersfield, Mill Shooting Preserve. And they've got pheasant, they've got chucker, and whatever, and then you can go up there, and they actually have real birds, they have dogs, you have a guide that'll take you out and do this. So let's go up there this next weekend. So same old rented shotgun. I cleaned the vest up a little bit. And we go up to Mills Shooting Preserve, Bakersfield, California. We go up there and we walk in, and there's an old clubhouse up there. It's on the side of the road. It's 800 acres. It's fabulous. And we've got these things, and we've got Carl and Marianne Mills, and they have 2 kids. They have Keith and Glenn. Keith is 12, Glenn is 10?
11.
At that time?
It was 14 months apart.
Okay, at that time.
Yeah.
So we go up there, and God, I don't know if it was your dad or if it was Clyde or whatever.
Yeah.
Hank, it might have been Hank that took us out. Boy, we shot some birds. We had a great time. We come back, and I really wanted a drink. At the end of the day, we go in, and Carl Mills, his dad, sits there, and he says, you want a drink, Bob? And I said, yeah. He said, so we go back to the back room, we have a drink together. And I start the most beautiful friendship I've ever had in my life with a man named Carl Mills and his wife, Mary Ann, and 2 bad kids. Keith and Glenn, who are the worst students you've ever seen in your life. Because every time it was report card time, I would go up there and it would be a bad day. I spent half my life up at the Mill Shooting Preserve. I lived, we had a trailer. You know, right. I slept on the floor. I spent months and months with you guys shooting all the time. Yeah. But I could always tell when it was bad report card time. Because it was not fun at the ranch.
was too much other things to do, you know, go hunting and.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to preface all of this because of this guy who I dearly love. He and his wife Charlotte, and we've known each other forever. And, I watched these kids grow up, and we had so much fun together. But it was a great family. We were all together for years.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
All right.
A lot of fun.
Now, if you're going to say nasty things about
I'm not going to say anything nasty. I'm just going to jog your memory. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember when, now most people don't know it, but Laramie, you said it was canceled, but it went into syndication, right?
I what?
Laramie went into syndication.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why they went ahead and stopped it, was because they can make a lot of money putting it into syndication. They didn't have all the production costs and all that. And so Bob called us and said, "Hey, come on up. We're finishing up Laramie, and come on, we'll watch the rest of the show being shot. I'm all done." And we said, "Great." So we came up, and so. You've heard about what a prankster Bob is. But I'm going to tell you what, that group up there that he was pranking, they were pretty good too. Do you want to tell them what they did to you? Or do you want me to jog your memory?
Well, you can tell if you want.
Okay. Well, we were up and they were shooting the last scenes, and they said, we were going someplace, and one of the crewmen came up and said, "You're not leaving, are you?" And Bob said, no, we're gonna, and Bob looked at him kind of funny, like, what do you care, And so, no, he says, "We're gonna hang around a little bit." And he said, "Oh, great, that's great." So, about 5 minutes later, 3 of these guys come running across and grabbed him up and stuck him in a lion's cage. And they hosed him down with a fire hose. And then they took out spiders and hopped them across the cage at him. Remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
And Claude Akins, I don't know if you guys,
yeah.
Claude Akins was on the show that time. And he said, "Claude, you're a bad man. Get me out of this." And Claude said, "I can't help you. Just can't help you."
Oh yeah, no help whatsoever.
So they ended up, one of the guys had a reflector that he could put a little heat on you out there so you wouldn't freeze to death too much.
God, you remember that? That's amazing. That's amazing. But anyway, if I can go back a little bit too, we spent a lifetime together.
Oh yeah.
I watched you guys grow up. We grew up together in a way in those days. And Keith was one heck of a, he learned how to handle dogs and train dogs because of his dad. His dad was one heck of a dog trainer. And you learned them all from him.
Right.
I had 2 dogs, 2 English pointers, Jess and Georgia Bell, that I brought up there that both of you guys trained, and we hunted with him.
Right.
His dad had a dog named Red, English pointer, which was one of the most fantastic hunting dogs of all times.
Right.
And you worked with him a bunch. And you, years later, how many dogs did you train?
About 1,000.
Wow. Really? Seriously?
About 1,000.
But how many kids have you taught?
A few thousand.
Tell them what you do.
Well, I'm a special ed teacher. And I was one of those kids that whenever the bar was set, I put my foot on it and I accepted it. So when I was going to school, I started playing basketball, and they said, "Well, you have to have a C average." I said, "Okay, I can do a C average. That's no problem. I'll do a C average." So then I got to through high school, and I got to junior college, and they said, "Well, for you to go to the Cal State system, you're going to have a C plus average." And I said, "Hell, I can do C plus." Put the foot on top of the bar. So then I got into Cal State, and they said, "Well, you've got to have a 3.5 in order to become a teacher." Well, I can do a 3.5, so I put the foot on the bar. And so then I got a degree in physical education, and then went back and got a degree in special education, and then a master's in that. But the thing was, there was too much fun going on in the club all the time, training dogs and going shooting quail with you and going up to Isabella and fishing. It was just too much fun. So I mean, whatever they wanted me to do, I took it as that's what you needed to do, not, you know, you need to do a lot more. And it showed.
But he does a special thing. He teaches basketball to these special kids. But what he does is so interesting. He bribes them. He bakes things for them.
Well,
and they love it. That's why. It's incredible what you do. Most people, you don't know anybody that does that, what you do. He was a cook. He's an incredible cook to start with. But he bakes things, he makes things for his kids, and takes them there, and they all love it, you know? Yeah. That makes it so special, Keith. It really does.
Yeah, well, it makes it fun too. You know, the kids are surprised when you can do a different.
Well, they adore you. I'm sure they do when you do stuff like that for them. Yeah.
So should we talk a little more? I mean, Tony, where's Tony?
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. Can't remember. I got a question. What's the biggest thing you guys ever hunted together? The biggest thing?
You and my dad went down to a wild ranch in Texas and shot deer for Kurt Gowdy.
Oh, we shot, we did the American Sportsman. I took his dad with me down there to do one of those. We shot black buck antelope, deer, wild boar, a lot of stuff. But basically what we did up at the ranch here was strictly quail, chukar, and pheasant.
Yeah. And then occasionally go up to Isabella and
go to Isabella and fish for bass, which we did a bunch. Yeah.
Was that when you started eating? You had started eating quail. Had you eaten quail before that?
What?
Had you eaten quail before you actually started hunting quail?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think the first time I ever shot quail was up at with your dad.
I think so.
His dad taught me how to hunt, taught me how to shoot a shotgun. Oh, I should say that, my God. His dad, and you too, probably have, you got a Model 12-20 gauge.
Right.
All right, I don't know if you all know what a Model 12-20 gauge shotgun is, but it's a Winchester. It's a heck of a good gun. You can go 16 gauge, 12 gauge, 20 gauge, whatever. But his dad shot a 20 gauge. So when I started, the first time I went up there renting my Ithaca, and I met your dad, then, he said, now you're going to come up here and shoot some more. He said, you need to get your own shotgun. So I got very lucky and found a full choke Model 12 Winchester, which I still have to shoot today, which I love, and you do too.
Yeah.
And so, but his dad taught me. I mean, we used to shoot. Well, you did too. We had shoots out there that you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah, yeah. We did a lot.
His dad and I, and you'd be involved in it. We'd have a trap where you could throw a trap out 100 yards going this way. We got so good that we would put our shotguns on the table, unload it, pull the trap, let the bird go, get the gun, load the gun, shoot the bird. Remember?
Shot a lot of birds.
And we smacked them. but it took a long time, to be able to do stuff like that. These guys were shooters like you did. Well, you grew up shooting. You grew up cleaning the dog cages. How many dogs do you remember you guys had? At one time? 12, 13 dogs?
Yeah, something like that.
In the back of the trailer, the dogs that they used to guide people with. And he and Glenn had to clean those.
Bob did a little stint as a guide.
I cleaned a little of them myself.
But you did a little stint as a guide.
Hey, I cleaned birds. I did everything at your club.
I know it, but...
And I guided.
But that's what I want to say. Why don't you tell about the guiding job you did for that...
General LeMay.
General Curtis LeMay, SAC Air Force.
Do you all know who Curtis LeMay is? Yeah. No, it's a big-time general. He used to shoot up there a bunch. So this one time up there, I guess you guys were busy, Carl was busy, and LeMay comes up with another friend of mine, or his, and he wants to hunt. So Carl comes to me and he says, and I know his dog, Red. I've hunted with Red 100 times. And Red knew me. This is the most fabulous dog you've ever seen in your life. So he said, why don't you take LeMay out and take Red? And I said, no problem. General LeMay doesn't know who the hell I am. You know, and who cared anyway? But I knew who he was. So I'm the guy that day. I got Red, take him out, I get him 12, 14 birds, whatever. Now the deal is, when a guide comes back, he gets a tip. LeMay didn't tip me. Not that I needed the tip, but I thought, why the heck? You always tip the handler that takes you out, right?
Right.
LeMay didn't even say thanks. And I got him all his birds, Red was on point, everything doing so good and everything. And I thought at the end maybe the guy give me $5 or something, but he didn't. General Curtis LeMay.
Yeah.
Great story.
But tell some of the great people you had up there that would come and hunt there.
Oh,
some of the most famous people in the world.
We had Glenn Campbell used to come up to the ranch all the time. I'm trying to think. Jay Gould, who was head of Bank of America at the time. We had the head of Kohler Bankers that was out there. We had quite a few. We have a couple of women who were Olympic tennis players. They used to come out.
People would fly their private plane in and come down and land on the
small
road between the clubhouse and the
right
where you guys live.
Right.
And put their plane down.
And Bob was really involved with Charlie Dickey, who became in charge of
the head of the National Rifle Association at that time. Charlie Dickey. Yeah, he's the one who wrote what is a quail hunter? I think you've seen that I did those things. He wrote those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie, he was with us all the time. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, Keith, I'm gonna, unfortunately, only due to time, I'm gonna have to sort of cut it down now. But
okay.
We're going to do this again. This is going to be we try to get Keith out to these things, and he lives way out in California, so it's not, he can't always make it. But we want to see him up here more, talk a little bit more about the history of what these guys used to do. But there's a whole lot more. But you know what?
We're not through. Settle down.
I got to tell you, Keith, this is something.
And you know what? We didn't even mention his lovely wife, Charlotte. Look at her. She had her birthday 2 nights ago. We all had dinner at the Fat Canary. And, that was so neat.
You've talked about all, you know, he's a teacher, he's a cook, he's a great shot, and his backside's really warm, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
Keith is actually looking at starting, I'm going to put him right in the spot here, because we're going to make him follow through with this, because it'd be great. He's looking at starting a blog on cooking. And we were talking about it, and I really hope he gets this thing off the ground, because I tell you, this guy will be mean. He will be absolutely mean. In fact, I feel totally inadequate sat here now.
He's actually my illegitimate son.
Well, that's what I called him. I said, you. Anyway.
Could have been.
Have we got any more questions?
Yes, we do. Come on, you guys.
Oh, Pat, right at the back there. Pat, come on.
Oh, Pat's got one. Spent all afternoon with me and didn't ask one, but now she's got
Actually, I did ask it, and then I
Oh, that's
realized
right.
there was a second half to it, and I was like, oh, wait a second, we need to do this at the Q&A.
Yeah.
I know that you, at one point in your life, took an airplane and buzzed the set with it. However, my question was, did you ever finish getting your pilot certification?
Okay, oh yeah, I remember you asked me that. No, okay. I think most of you all have heard by Chuck and I's crazy time when we flew a plane. But no, Chuck and I took flying lessons at the same time in 150 Cessnas. Chuck actually, both of us did our solo flights at the same time, 2 different planes. Chuck did great. Chuck got his license. When I landed the plane, I thought that that's where the ground was, but it wasn't. It was about 15 feet down there. And when I landed that plane, I broke both the wheels on the plane coming in on my solo flight. And of course, I never got my license. They never let me come back to that place. No, absolutely not. But I can take off, and I
can't land. Next, please. Mary, come on up, Mary.
Hi, Bob. Every once in a while on Emergency, you got to do something physical. You went up in a fire truck, you had a punching, you had a fight with somebody in the emergency room. Were these occasional things something you asked to do, or did you
damn right. You know, I loved Emergency. Dr. Brackett, you know, thank God for Jack Webb for hiring me to do that. It's a fabulous show. I had a lot of fun doing it, but it wasn't Laramie. And I actually told one of the producers, I said, can I do something physical? I said, write something where I can punch the hell out of somebody. You know, and they did. Yeah, they wrote that little scene right there. But
did you like going up
that's
in the fire
embarrassing.
truck?
I'm really embarrassed that I did that, but I did.
Did you like going up in the fire truck?
You know, Dr. Brackett was a cool guy. You know, he was written well, and he was a great surgeon and did this and everything, but I wanted him to punch somebody out once. and they wrote that scene in, so, but that was it. But as far as riding in the engines, oh yeah, I had to do that a bunch of whatever.
Well, there was one episode where you went up in a bucket.
Oh yeah, oh that was cool.
And I wondered if you enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I like anything that's dangerous. Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. But it was still fun to go to work every morning with Julie London.
Hans, next please. Oh, way over there in the corner. Come on, last in line at the table you were as well, I remember that.
I know this lady.
I have a question about...
Come up close.
My question's about your horse that you rode in Laramie. Who, I believe, was it? How did that come about? How did you get him, and how
did I get him?
Have him? And
oh, okay. Oh, good story. I did two Lawmen. Peter Brown's show. Remember Lawman?
Yes.
The very first one, I had a small part on it. I got killed, fell over. You know, Jeanette Nolan played my mother in it. Died in her arms. I loved it. But the next one was called The Friend. In the meantime, I've been signed to do Laramie. And you all know the story. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. I got the part of Jess. Anyway, I'm Jess now. I'm signed to do Laramie. But it's not going to start for 2 or 3 months, so I was still working. I could, you know, I was being hired to do different shows. So I do my second Lawman, And Richie Brim, my fat wrangler, who you've heard me talk about, if he ever fell down, he'd roll till he starved to death. He's my dear friend. You guys understand. I loved him to the day he died. He was one of my dearest friends. Dear friend. But anyway, that's where I met him. So he's the head wrangler on this lawman. And I'm going to have a horse. So he brings this horse up. And he says, this is a horse you're going to ride next show. And I meet him for the first time, and I meet Hoot for the first time. I get aboard Hoot, and walk him around for a little bit, and go back like this, and I go, man, God damn, this is one heck of a horse. That's a good horse. And I could do anything I want to do with him. And I said, man, I love this horse. So that's the horse I'm going to ride in the front. And then Peter and I have known each other for a long, long time. So Peter and I are having fun. We've done a couple of those shots where we jump off the roof on our horses and this and that. And I fall in love with this horse. And I said to Richie, now this is Warner Brothers. I said, I want this horse. I want to buy this horse. I want this horse for my horse on Laramie. And he said, well, he said, you know, I work with the Hutkins Ranch, and they've got me working here at Warner Brothers. He said, I don't know what to do. I said, I don't give a damn, I want this horse. I want this horse I want to ride this horse on Laramie. And he said, okay, I'll see what I can do. So Richie somehow transferred himself from Warner Brothers to Universal Studios with that horse, stayed with Universal Studios for 20, 30 years, became a driver afterwards, and had the best time of his life. But he was my wrangler, and he brought Hoot. So I went to the Hutkins Ranch, and I bought Hoot. He was my horse. Richie had a ranch out in Thousand Oaks and kept Hoot. Brought him to work every day for me, so he was my horse, and I had that horse. Yeah, it was kind of great. Yeah.
Did you keep him until the day you died? Did you have Hoot throughout his life?
Oh, what? He retired on his ranch in 800 acres. I jerked his shoes, floated his teeth, and put him up there when he was, what, 25 years old or something like that, and spent his life on a great ranch. You bet.
One of the things you said about horses is they couldn't make these westerns today because they don't have the horses like they had back when you were at Laramie. The horses that you can shoot around, the horses that can do all the things that your horse can do, right?
It's a good question. We had two ranches, the Ace Hutkins Ranch and Fat Jones Ranch. Each ranch probably had 300, 400, 500 horses apiece, but they were picture horses. They'd been in the business since the 20s and the 30s, and they were trained. You could shoot off of them. You guys watch these movies. You watch old movies. You watch the new movies with westerns. You see what those horses did. When you sit a horse and ride up in front of camera like Smitty and I would do, and do dialogue, and the horse just stands there, that's unheard of today. You can't get a horse to do that. These were picture horses. I rode Hoot. I could shoot a Winchester over his head. I could shoot my .45, ride him. I could do whatever I wanted to do. He was trained to do that. Well, they're gone today. So when you see a Western today, you're never going to see a trained horse. This guy's coming off the range, and people are going to get bucked off. Believe me. I did a show called Bonanza: The Next Generation. Yeah. Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
So we shot that up in Tahoe, I guess, or wherever it was up there. And I had this. What year could that have been?
I was in the 80s. I don't remember exactly.
80s, whatever. And there were no picture horses. So I had to go out to a ranch and find a horse. I found this pretty good looking horse. I don't know, I'll ride this guy. And so I rode him a little bit, a couple of days on a ranch or whatever, and then they shipped him up to where we were going to shoot. So 2 days, I rode the horse a little bit in a couple of scenes, but now I have a scene where I've got to ride up a hill with a Winchester and shoot a bunch of guys on horseback. So and it's the first shot of the morning. With this, I've ridden this horse before. All right. So I get on the horse. Prop man gives me the Winchester with full loads in it, and I look at the head wrangler and I say, "Has anybody ever shot off this horse before?" And he looks at me and he says, "No." And I said, and I stepped off so easy you couldn't believe it. I said, "Get somebody to shoot off this horse before I do." Because that's Katie Barlador. Well, they got a stunt man, took that horse, took about an hour, took him, worked with him, shot him off in a bunch. So he wasn't going to buck or kill anybody, me, particularly. And then he brought him back and he said, "You can shoot off him now." And I did. I got that scene. I ride up that hill going bang, 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 bang. The horse did fine. But he didn't react real good for the first time with me. But that, see, there were pictures. That's a great question, Keith. It really is. There's just no horses today. There's no directors. There's no cameramen. Nobody knows how to make a Western today. And there's no actors that know how to make a Western unless they're old guys. Like me. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. You know, God, if you're going to see a good, you know, Bob Duvall, you know, people like that, God, I'd give anything to see him in a Western because he's still good. You see, he can make a Western. But there's nothing there anymore. Yes, ma'am.
On that note, Bob, I was watching on a video of that someone did an interview with L.Q. Jones very recently at one of the festivals, and they asked him, like, what did he think about today's Westerns? And L.Q. said, they don't have Westerns, they have political statements with horses. So how would you make a Western today, a real Western that somebody like we enjoy?
Well, let's see. Sean Penn, Rosie O'Donnell, Bob De Niro. Oh, that'd be a hell of a Western. That's a great question. No, I'm sorry, you guys. I shouldn't even be talking like this. You know. I think you all know what my persuasion is. And you'll never see me in California. You couldn't pour me into California again. And I'm ashamed that I ever was a part of that, what's going on with those actors today. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't be saying that. You all may have different ideas. I understand that perfectly, but you got to know, this is the cowboy right here. Yeah. No trespassing. Trespassers will be shot. Survivors will be shot again.
We're kind of running out of time now, so...
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are. We've got a photo shoot to do with Dennis, so do as you tell.
It's only 6 o'clock.
No, we've still got to get Dennis in.
We have plenty of time.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Time with Patrick Wayne when you rode through those woods chasing that Mustang stallion.
I'm sorry, honey.
In Mustang country. Is that on? In Mustang country. You had a ride with Patrick Wayne through the woods chasing that Mustang stallion. Was that you?
Mustang country with Patrick and Joe McRae.
Was that you doing the riding?
Oh yeah, of course.
That was so scary.
Roping, yeah, oh yeah. Shot that was done in, God, what country was that? In Canada. Yeah, we shot that in Canada. Yeah, that
How many times did you have to practice
Patrick's
it?
a good writer.
Did you have to practice it? Did they work out a route for you? Did you just do it?
Did what?
Did they work out a route for you to ride?
Did they work a route for you? A route for you? Did they work a route for you to ride, or did you ride your own route? For a ride.
They went that way. Get your ass on that horse and go that way. Lap and tap.
Earlier this evening, I wanted to jump up and say, forget the plane ticket, just give that man a horse. My question is, in the fandom, when we're discussing your acting ability, it's often commented, ooh, he really hurts so good. And my question is, have you ever really been shot in real life? Do you know what that feels like?
Been hurt?
Shot. Shot. With a gun.
Shot?
Yeah.
Came close.
No, I've never been shot.
No.
I've been shot at. I've been shot too. No, I never got, oh God, no, I was very lucky in Korea. I never got shot.
Good. One quick question. I read a newspaper article from years ago that you had an invasion of one of your homes by a burglar.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
By a what?
And that you did confront him with a gun.
Oh, you bet.
Could you tell us about that experience?
Oh, I'll never forget that. Oh yeah.
What's a burglar? Did you have a burglar come to your house?
Damn right. Oh yeah, you want to hear about, oh yeah. This is, I was married to Patty at this time, my first wife. She, it was on a Sunday morning. She went to church. I didn't go to church. My church is home. Anyway, she was gone, so this is, I'm in bed. This is 7 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden I hear my door banging. I just got my shorts on, a t-shirt, and I thought, who in the heck is at my door at 7 o'clock in the morning? And I get up and I look through there, I got a little thing like that, and I see a guy. And he keeps banging on my door. And I said, well, I'm not going to open that door. I don't know who this guy is. I'm going to go back to bed. So I go back in, and he keeps banging on the door. And now all of a sudden, silence. And I hear my back door. You've got to go through 2 fences, 2 gates, to get to the back of my house up in where I lived in North Hollywood. And now he's banging on that door. And I'm thinking, this isn't right. Now, I just moved into this house. All my good guns are down at Chuck's house. The only thing I've got is a 25 auto, which is nothing but a cap gun, if you think about it, in the desk. And I think, I don't know what's going on with this guy. So I get this 25 auto, and I go out, and I just walk down the hallway, and as I walk down the hallway, he breaks my window in the back. And I see his hand come in, and I've never shot this gun before. So, and I got a fireplace with a long hallway, and the guy's broken a window, and he's reaching in. I duck behind the fireplace. I try to put a shell in the chamber, and the shell goes. Now the guy's he's got my door almost open. I got to pick the damn bullet up. I got to get this guy, got to get this thing loaded. And I walk down the hallway just as this guy opens my door, and I stuck this gun right in his face. And he says, "Don't shoot." And well, he was a burglar. So I said, "Back up, get out," you know. And he kept reaching in his pocket, and I said, "You reach one more time, I won't tell you what I said." You never heard dialogue like this in your life. Yes, you have. But not from me. So you understand what I'm saying? I said things to him that would make his hair curl. Believe me. I said, if you reach in that pocket one more again. And he kept, I was going to shoot him. And then I thought, well, I want to shoot the guy. So I got some wood over there. I said, maybe I'll shoot this gun beside him. And I thought, well, now I've had a problem with a damn gun. What if it doesn't go off? And I got this guy. Yeah. So I finally convinced him to get his hand out of his pocket, put his things up like this. What he had was his burglar tools and all my mail out of my mailbox. Now I'm all alone. This is 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm in an area where there's nobody. Finally, somebody drives up the hill that could look down into where I am, and they see me, and I go like this, and they see me with a gun pointed at a guy and hollered, said, "Call the police," you know. So the guy says to me, he says, "I was just hungry. I just wanted some food," you know. And I thought to myself, God, you know, I should let him go. And I look and I see this good-looking watch on his hand. You know, and I said, "You are so full of crap. You ain't going no place. You're not that hungry." And a little while later, the guy was on parole from Sioux City, Iowa for burglary. And I had to go to court. Oh, it was a big deal. It was in the papers. The studio, the police came and got me during Laramie. I'm in my costume and everything. Had to go to court. The press is there taking pictures while I had to, you know, go in front of, you know, the judge and all that kind of stuff with this guy. And that's when I found out he was on parole. But anyway, yeah, interesting story.
Right. Now this is just. We have to be out of this room. This is our last question. We're going to have to wind her up. So maybe no, we have to. We've got to leave the room. Yes.
Who runs this?
I do.
I love watching Hard Ride.
Not that good.
I really enjoy watching the scenes where you're riding the motorbike.
I can't hear you, honey. That's not working. What?
Do you want to come and sit down here?
I really enjoy watching Hard Ride, the movie, the scenes where you're riding the motorbike and listening to the music. I just would like to know how much you enjoyed that movie, filming those motorbike riding scenes.
So what's the question?
I want to know how much you enjoyed. Did you enjoy the riding the motorbike and the
Did I enjoy the movie? Did I enjoy doing the
doing that movie, riding?
Do you want to hear about the movie?
Yes,
absolutely.
Riding the motorbike.
Okay. I'll do a quick one on the Hard Ride. I love doing that movie. That was so much fun. I was a bike rider to start with. Not that kind of a rider with Harleys. I was a dirt biker. Chuck and I, we had dirt bikes and did all that kind of stuff. But when I got hired to do the Hard Ride, I met the director, and I knew the director, and he hired me. And I went down to a motorcycle club in Downey, California, and there's this piece of equipment laying on the ground. It's all broken up, there's bars, there's this, it's just sitting there. I mean, it was just a mess. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "That's a 1947 Harley frame, and we're going to turn it into the bike called Baby that you're going to ride in this picture." Well, about 3 weeks later, this thing turned into about a $5,000 motorcycle with all the twisted chrome and this, you know, with an extension, a 12-foot extension on it, which is illegal in those days, but we could get away with it because we were making a movie. If you hit a pebble this big, it went like this. And now I got to ride it all over Northern California with a girl sitting behind me, scared to death that I'm going to dump this thing, kill her. I don't care about myself. I don't want to hurt her. But I never did it. Everything went good. But no, I had the time of my life on that movie, absolutely. And a quick story. We were someplace in Northern California. We were going to shoot at night. And I was starting to run out of gas on my bike. So the director said, pull over that gas station over there and fill the bike up, while the camera truck and all of this is over there. I turned around, I went into this gas station, and the owner of the gas station comes out with a bat, and he thinks I'm a Hell's Angel. Because the Hell's Angels were up there. In fact, they robbed us one time. I packed my 911 45 all the time with me, because you never knew what you were going to get with these guys. But I never dreamed when I pulled in to get gas, this guy comes out with a baseball bat, and I couldn't get gas there. This guy wanted me off his property, and I'm in this bike like this, so I fortunately went someplace else. But no, we had good times on that show. Yeah, and Sherry was great. All the people in there.
You want me to help you? Don't jump. Oh, you went down the steps? Yeah, use the steps. Okay, getting the wire caught up. Right, okay. I'm afraid we are going to have to call it a day because we need to empty the room. But I hope you've had a great time. I'd like to thank Keith Mills. As always, he's real lot of fun. You're gonna see more of Keith at these Q&As. I'd like to thank the guys that have been doing the filming: Shaletta, James, and Bell. Sally for taking all the photographs, and the guys that did all the, getting you guys in, Galen and Gloria and Gus and Laura, the roving mic. It wasn't too easy this time, was it? It wasn't quite as easy. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to be doing the photo shoot in here with Dennis Holmes, so we're going to have to ask everybody who's not involved in that to clear the room so that we can do that nice and quiet.
But before you all leave.
Before you all leave, though, our sponsor would like to say something. Go ahead, Katie.
Katie! Hi, honey.
Wait, I got a problem with you. Can I call you on my phone? Can I call me yet? He told me about you.
You him?
No, he told me on my phone.
Me?
Yeah, he talked about you.
No. No. What did he tell you?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to thank all of the fandom that worked with us all day for all the help. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate it, all of you. But and my dear friend Keith, of course. But this guy right here. This guy's the love of my life. Really, he's one close friend. We've known each other for quite a few years now. Spends my time at the ranch with me, rides the horse, we fish together, we shoot together, we drink together.
We don't drink together. We don't drink together. We didn't drink last night.
I drink, he doesn't. Yeah, they should have seen us last night.
Oh, man.
Anyway, I had to do that to him. You all know I love you. I love you, Tommy.
I love you too, buddy. Nice here we go. Here we go.
You think you can do it?
Yep.
You guys ready for this?
Hey, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine.